It's a little bit like a tug of war going on with me, as they cover everything really well without any gaping inconsistencies, but still it's very long. The movie in its entirety is over 2.5 hours long. Welcome back to Binge Watcher Hub. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the Netflix film Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery. Honestly, this one caught me off guard. I hadn't seen any of the 3 movies, so I went back and watched all of them to get a little bit more of a flavour. So, is Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery worth the watch? Let's talk about it. Wake Up Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery is the 3rd entry in the Knives Out series, following Detective Blanc as he's pulled into another complex, high-profile case. This time, the mystery is darker and more serious in tone, with secrets, power, and personal motives all colliding around a serious death. Daniel Craig returns as Detective Blanc. The cast once again feature a stacked-up line of well-known actors, each playing characters with something to hide. As with previous films, everyone feels like a potential suspect from the moment they're introduced. The central question is simple: who's lying and why? As Blanc digs deeper, it becomes clear that this isn't just about solving a murder. It's about uncovering long-buried secrets and exposing people who are desperate to protect their image or power. The film leans heavily into layered storytelling, with twists, misdirection, and reveals that are spaced throughout. It's dialogue-driven, smart, and intentionally keeps you guessing. You're constantly reassessing what you think you know. It takes a darker, more serious tone than the previous Knives Out films, but it still keeps that sharp, clever dialogue. Without spoiling anything, the mystery does come together in a way that recontextualizes earlier moments, and the payoff relies less on shock and more on clever construction. If you enjoy piecing things together, it's a satisfying conclusion. The film as a whole is a really good murder mystery. It has everything that you would expect and more. I'm glad that I went back to watch the previous 2 movies because it helped me get more of a grasp of whether things are taking a more positive or negative progression. And to clarify, it's definitely taking a more positive one. The story is brilliantly worked and put together. I specifically love how all of the movies try to approach a murder mystery styled movie in a different way, which gives these movies more of that longevity. What they do really well is give great initial detail into all of the backstories of the characters, and that then leads nicely into the main mystery of the film, but we've been satisfied already with the setup where we've been provided that context that's so important as we move into the main part of the movie, which then gives a complementary, satisfying resolution. But I do have to say that it is very long. I mean, the build-up took around 36 minutes. So the film can feel like it's dragging on, but I get both love from it and a little bit put off at the same time. It's a little bit like a tug of war going on with me, as they cover everything really well without any gaping inconsistencies, but still it's very long. The movie in its entirety is over 2.5 hours long. But with my love for film and TV shows, I'm leaning more on the positive side of this movie. Something that I picked up on from this film that I actually really liked was its clever injection of modern day social media that supported the mystery and the plot. Now, they used this as a lever in framing our main character, Judd, who's played by Josh O'Connor, which is where Detective Blanc, who's played by Daniel Craig, then comes into the picture. The twists in the story are brilliant. Not just with this movie, but in the other 2 films as well, they were great. What they do really well is that they hold your intrigue, making the progression of the story all that more entertaining. The characters are provided with the right amount of detail in the right moments during the film. I absolutely love how much detail that they go into, and they do it very strategically with all of those characters. So they haven't just got big name actors playing these characters, the script and the detail and profiling of those characters are done so well. It gives them an initial character profile straight from the off and then connects nicely into the main storyline. Thomas Hayden Church plays Samson Holt, who's the groundskeeper, and I was a little bit surprised that he didn't really get a ton of screen time, but I loved seeing him in the cast. It seems like I haven't seen him for a long time. I mean, stretching as far back as the Spider-Man days. So it was really great to see him in the cast. Jude, who's played by Josh O'Connor, has a brilliant roller coaster of a character arc. Starts aggressive and then shifts into a more introverted portrayal, into being overconfident, back into being introverted and brought to his lowest point, and then finally into a more balanced state, and ultimately his best self. Daniel Craig returns as Detective Blanc, and I have to be honest, I was not expecting Daniel Craig to be able to pull off such a great American accent. I mean, I have a funny feeling I'm going to get debated in the comments, but I thought it was great. And seriously, where did it come from? His portrayal, however, feels a little bit different in this third film. Less aggressive and sure of his gifts, which makes the pressure build for where things are going to end up. Feeling more unpredictable until the latter stages of the film, which is where the build of the character arc takes a completely different turn and rectifies itself. Which, even though I say that, it's still heavily influenced by Jude, and it's not the Detective Blanc that we've seen in the previous two films. Josh Brolin plays Jefferson Wicks. Brilliant actor and brilliant acting in this film, but there is one moment in this film that caught my eye ridiculously. I don't know if I'm being too over the top, but I ended up rewinding to watch the moment again. And I'm going to try and not spoil things here, but Wicks falls down with a flask in his hand that flicks out of his hand that clearly comes across like it's just been thrown, as opposed to a more natural release, which is why I had to go back and have another look, because you just see his hand sort of flick his wrist as if he's doing it on purpose, as opposed to naturally doing it because the moment intends him to do it. Glenn Close, who plays Martha Delacroix, gives a great portrayal, really cunning and captivating in her performance. Like the introduction build-up, I thought the resolution was really intriguing because we get to see the characters' motivations all start to come right around to bring things full circle. The viewing experience really pulls you in. Everything from the look to the sound feels intentionally crafted to match the story's tone. The visual colour palette is just spot on. The costume outfits complement the sets really well. Consistently warm and sleek, but when colours are introduced, it makes a really strong picture. From the church itself, and then you've got the vibrant church windows that all have different types of colours in them, all the way through to the costumes themselves, really catch your eye because the back tone of the sets are left quite minimalistic. Now, I had to call this specific piece out because it was brilliant. I've never really seen anything done like this before, and I thought it was so subtle, but really, really such a touch of quality. And that's this moment of brilliance where the warmth of natural lighting changes to a more sky blue, all in one sequence, which I just thought was remarkable. I thought in this film, similarly to the other two films, they used the integrated flashbacks really nicely. And then the music. It's nothing groundbreaking, but it's subtle, and in turn it complements the storyline's progression. So, is Wake Up Dead Man a Knives Out mystery worth a watch? I'm going to say definitely. It's everything you could want from a murder mystery film that isn't in the horror genre. If you're looking for something that's more of a murder mystery style and enjoy a whodunit, this is definitely one to add to the watch list. I give Wake Up Dead Man a Knives Out mystery a 4 out of 5 buckets. Now it's your turn. If you've already seen Wake Up Dead Man, A Knives Out Mystery, what did you think? Did it live up to expectations, or did it miss the mark? And if you haven't checked it out yet, does it sound like something you'd binge? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more reviews and reactions right here on Binge Watcher Hub. Until next time, happy binge watching.